What if Naruto was adopted by Mikoto Uchiha? Chapter 1. Hellos and Goodbyes. G'day everyone, Rune here, and this is Chapter 1 of a new Naruto What If. What if Naruto was adopted by Mikoto Uchiha? It's always interesting to think about what could have happened had Naruto had some positive familial connections growing up. There have been a lot of options put forth by the fandom as to Naruto's possible guardians. Kakashi, Jiraiya, Root, the Inuzukas, the Hyugas, and so many more. But Mikoto is the option I want to try exploring here. So without delay, let's begin the story. We start our story a few weeks after Kushina told her husband that they were going to be parents. On this day, Kushina is shopping with Mikoto, who's been her best friend since school. Both women are expecting, with Mikoto being a little further along, and have decided to go shopping for baby stuff. As the two women are looking at baby clothes and toys, Mikoto picks up an adorable fox plushie and holds it out to Kushina, suggesting that it be her future son's first stuffed toy as her eyes gleam with mischievous glee. Kushina matches Mikoto's look with a mischievous smirk of her own as she pulls out a little red and white cat plushie. Grinning, she tells Mikoto that it would be perfect for her little boy. 3 months on, the two mothers are over at Mikoto's place, playfully complaining about how busy their husbands are. They might as well be single mothers with how often the men are at home. It's at this moment that Itachi walks in with some more tea, telling his aunt Kushina that if she ever needs help around the house, he'd be more than happy to help. Kushina smiles fondly as she pats the boy's head, thanking him for the offer and complimenting how reliable he is, playfully wondering where he got that from since it clearly isn't the parents. Mikoto squawks indignantly as she slaps Kushina's shoulder, causing the redhead to chuckle. Itachi watches the scene with a soft, serene smile. 2 more months pass, and Kushina and Mikoto walk into Ichiraku to a cheerful greeting from Teuchi. The two women smile, greeting him back as they take their seats. Mikoto rolls her eyes as Kushina orders an extra-large bowl of salt ramen, while she orders a regular miso ramen. Mikoto eyes Kushina suspiciously, asking if she's using her pregnancy as an excuse to pig out on her favorite food. Kushina gives her a light punch to the shoulder, telling her that she does not eat like a pig and ignoring the raven's raised eyebrow. She shrugs and tells her that it's not only her that wants to eat this anyway. Naruto clearly must take after her because she's been craving ramen practically non-stop since she got pregnant. Mikoto rolls her eyes, asking how that's any different from her when she's not pregnant. 1 month later, Mikoto gives birth to a healthy little boy whom she and Fugaku named Sasuke. While Mikoto is still recovering in the hospital with her husband and son, they are visited by the Uzumakis. While Minato pats Fugaku on the back, congratulating him on his second child, Kushina hands a gift bag to Mikoto, telling her that it's for her son. Opening the bag, Mikoto bursts into peals of laughter as she sees the red and white cat plushie inside. Minato and Fugaku watch their wives with blank, confused stares as Kushina pokes at the still laughing Mikoto with a smug grin. Turning to each other, all they can do is shrug helplessly, unable to give the other any kind of explanation. The next 2 months see the Uchiha family settling into having their new member, while Mikoto is also doing her best to help Kushina prepare for her own child's arrival. All the while, the two mothers talk about all the playdates their little boys are going to have. Kushina even makes a joke about how Mikoto will need to get used to being called auntie. However, during one of their little gossip sessions, while Kushina is holding little Sasuke, Mikoto asks about when she's planning to go to the hospital in preparation for the delivery. She is startled and worried to find out that Kushina isn't going to be delivering Naruto in the hospital. Due to Kushina and Mikoto being so close, Kushina trusted her with the secret of her being a Jinchuriki a long time ago. So, when Kushina explains that she's going to be moved to a secure location for the birth due to how it's going to weaken the seal, Mikoto isn't shocked. But she is very worried. After all, this means that not only is Kushina going to be going through labor, an already stressful and possibly deadly undertaking, even in our current day of modern medicine, but it also means that she's not going to know where she is or if she and her child are okay until long after the fact. Sensing her best friend's worry, Kushina assures her that she's going to be tended to by the best medical ninjas, the place is going to be more guarded than the Hokage Tower, and it's all being kept top secret. Honestly, she's not even supposed to be telling her this, and she's supposed to be limiting her interactions with people outside of Minato and those involved in the birth. But she knows that Mikoto would worry herself sick if she turned up to the hospital only to find she wasn't there. She assures her best friend that she'll be fine. Mikoto huffs, saying that she better be. She then shoots a mother's disapproving glare at Kushina's stomach, telling the Kyuubi that if he does anything to hurt her bestie or her little nephew, she will skin him and turn his pelt into a throw rug while she roasts his meat for barbecue and boils his bones for fox soup. The chiming sound of his auntie's laughter wakes little Sasuke. When Mikoto goes around to the Uzumaki Namikaze home to drop off a gift in preparation for the baby's birth, she finds the place is already empty. Taking a deep breath to steady her nerves, she glances down at the gift bag in her hand, before turning about and heading back home. As she goes, she repeats a single mantra in her head. Kushina will be fine. Naruto will be fine. They're both going to be fine. However, no matter how many times she repeats it, the horrible feeling of foreboding in her chest won't go away. Even as the day fades away to night, she still can't shake the feeling, and it doesn't go unnoticed by her family. While Fugaku attempts to assuage his wife's fears with reassurances, they do nothing to help, and he soon has to leave for work anyway. Her eldest, Itachi, on the other hand, has other ideas of how to best help his mother. Walking up to her while she's cleaning up after dinner, he asks her if she's still worried about Aunt Kushina. Not wanting to worry her son, she tells him that she's just being paranoid, but Itachi gives her a look. He tells her that he's never known her mother's intuition to be wrong before. Besides, many ninjas are able to sense when something is wrong, even if they can't pinpoint exactly what it is. If her gut is telling her that something is wrong, then she should listen to it. Itachi tells his mother to go find Aunt Kushina. He's a big boy. He's the man of the house when father's not here. He can watch over the house and Sasuke. Smiling a grateful and loving smile at her eldest, Mikoto kisses his forehead while thanking him for being so mature and responsible. Rushing to her room, she throws open the cupboard and grabs the gear that she hasn't worn since Itachi was born. She quickly throws on her headband, flap jacket, and her utility belt before tying her hair up and out of her face. Before she leaves, she tells Itachi that if anything happens and he thinks that he and Sasuke could be in danger, he's to run to Naka's shrine and wait for her or Fugaku to come and get them. Then, with a final kiss to his forehead, she runs out of the house, determined to find her friend. Before she's more than a block away from her house, however, the Ninetales suddenly appears in the middle of Konoha. The questions as to how it's in the middle of the village, when Kushina had told her that she was being taken somewhere outside of the village, are immediately pushed to the back of her mind as another, much louder thought rings out. Jinchuriki don't usually survive if their tailed beast is freed. Even if she isn't dead yet, she's surely hurt and weak. She glares at the fox towering over her home as rage fills her. Looks like she's getting that pelt, barbecue, and soup. As she races towards the fox, she feels a rush of relief as she sees the fox's attack redirected by a familiar teleportation barrier. Thank goodness. Minato is still alive. He can tell her what's happened and if Kushina and Naruto are alright. Kami, please let them be alright. Don't take away her best friend. Don't take away her little nephew before she even gets to meet him. She's broken out of her thoughts as she hears someone shout her name. Spinning around, she comes face to face with Hiruzen, accompanied by practically every ninja in the village aside from the Uchiha. Hiruzen asks her what she's doing here and in her old ninja gear. Mikoto waspishly asks what it looks like she's doing. She's going to find Kushina and her family. Hiruzen tells her that she's not a ninja anymore, she's a civilian. Mikoto snaps at him not to give her that. Something's clearly happened to Kushina and she's not going anywhere if it's not to where she and her family are. She also can't help but notice that they don't have any Uchiha in their ranks. They're going to need someone to keep that monster down if they're going to keep damage to a minimum. Besides, she warned that flea bag yesterday what would happen if it hurt Kushina or Naruto, and she doesn't make empty threats. Seeing that there's no dissuading her and admitting in the privacy of his own mind that they could use an Uchiha, Hiruzen allows Mikoto to join them. With Mikoto there, the forces defending Konoha have someone with a Sharingan on their side. However, due to Mikoto being out of practice with her Sharingan and it being nowhere near as developed as the Master Man's, she's unable to do anything until the man's control over the Kyuubi is broken. And even then, she's only able to slow him down a bit. It's enough to decrease the amount of damage that the fox would have caused, but not by much. When Minato arrives and teleports the fox away, Mikoto is the first to move when the flash of the fox's attack shines in the distance. She needs to get there. She needs to make sure that her friend is okay. She needs to make sure that her nephew is okay. When they arrive, the first thing Mikoto sees is the adamantine chains restraining the Kyuubi. Hope fills her chest at the sight, knowing only one person who could be creating those chains. Kushina is still alive. There's still time. That hope is almost snuffed out as she hears Hiruzen gasp about the Reaper Death Seal. No. Hell no! No one else is dying tonight! Hiruzen right beside her, they race for the little family, only to be blocked by the barrier that Kushina has put up. After trying unsuccessfully to open a way in, she looks up to demand Kushina let her and the others in, only to see Kushina and Minato impaled on the Kyuubi's claw, the tip mere centimeters from a small blonde baby lying on an altar. Mikoto's screams of their names gets the two's attention. Spotting her best friend, Kushina's eyes soften in relief, thanking Kami that she's here. Smiling at her friend, she tells her that she's got a favor to ask of her. She knows that Mikoto was looking forward to being Naruto's aunt, but now it looks like she's going to have to be his mom. Mikoto tells her not to say things like that. They're not dying. Neither of them are allowed to die until they're old and grey and telling their grandkids about all of the trouble they got into when they were in school. Kushina smiles sadly at her best friend, telling her that she knows that's not possible anymore. She asks Mikoto to please listen to her. She's her best friend, her sister in all but blood. There's no one in the world aside from Minato that she trusts more than her. Mikoto opens her mouth to protest, to tell them that Naruto needs his mother and father, only to be cut off by Minato. The blonde man smiles at her weakly, while telling her that his wife is right. As always, there really is no one they would trust more to raise Naruto. He tells Mikoto that he's asking her not just as Kushina's husband, not just as Naruto's father, but as the fourth Hokage of Konoha to raise Naruto in their place. Tears fall down Mikoto's face as her hands ball into fists against the barrier. In a shaking, broken voice, she tells them that she will. She swears that she'll raise Naruto with all the love they never got to give him. With a final smile and a heartfelt thank you, Minato and Kushina breathe their last, sealing the Nine Tails within Naruto. Hiruzen motions for all of the ninja present to stay back as Mikoto sits on her heels next to the bodies. Holding the baby Naruto in her arms, she wails in grief for her sister in all but blood and her brother-in-law. The next morning is one filled with the stench of death and tragedy. The bodies of the fallen are being gathered, while rubble from the ruined buildings are being cleared. A somber atmosphere has settled over the village like a thick blanket, as the cost of the Kyuubi's attack is counted. Not that this matters to a certain group of elders currently sitting in Hiruzen's office. The moment that the old, formerly retired Hokage had announced that the son of the fourth and the new Kyuubi container would be placed in the care of Mikoto, a large-scale shouting match had started among the elders, the loudest of whom was Danzo. None of the trio seemed to care about the less-than-a-day-old infant in Mikoto's arms, crying at the shouting going on around him. After several minutes of trying in vain to calm Naruto, while the elders continue to yell, she finally loses her patience. Elders, with all due respect, shut up. In case you have forgotten, there is a baby in the room and your shouting is scaring him. This argument is ultimately pointless anyway, as Lord Fourth and his wife already decided on whom would be raising their child. In the shocked silence that follows the Uchiha matron's words, Hiruzen takes the opportunity to voice the words that were previously being spoken over. He agrees with Mikoto, informing the elders that this was the last order given by Minato before he died. It is not their place to overturn it. Despite Hiruzen's words, the elders still try to argue, though this time with less shouting. They ask if anyone else can verify the late Hokage's words, to which Hiruzen calls out to the other room, asking for the people there to come in. At his call, in walk Inoichi Yamanaki, Shikaku Nara, Sume Inuzuka, and Choza Akamichi. The four clan heads confirmed to the elders that Lord Firth and Lady Kushina had indeed assigned Mikoto Uchiha specifically to be the caretaker of Naruto. The elders frown in disapproval, clearly not liking the situation. However, while Homura and Koharu seem ready to admit defeat, Danzo, driven by ambition and hate for the Uchiha, is not done. In a moment of anger, he asks Hiruzen if this doesn't seem a little suspicious to him. The Kyuubi attacks, and while the rest of the Uchiha clan are ordered to guard their borders, Mikoto decides to ignore that order and run right towards the beast, and just happens to run into Hiruzen. How do they know that this wasn't all planned by the Uchiha to get control of the Ninetales? The room is suddenly filled with an icy chill at the man's accusation. Mikoto's eyes turn red as her Sharingan activates in her fury, while the clan heads all glare at Danzo in disgust. Didn't even ask her to leave the room, just said it right to her face. Even Hiruzen is looking at his old friend with pure disappointment. Voice calm, but filled with as much disappointment as his expression, Hiruzen asks Danzo if he has any evidence of Mikoto or the Uchiha clan's involvement. Danzo points out the Uchiha's natural ability to control the Kyuubi, attempting to get the other elders to back him up. Unfortunately for him, it seems that even they can understand the mistake that he's made. Hiruzen points out that this evidence is circumstantial at best, chastising Danzo for determining the guilt of an entire clan of Konoha who has served the village diligently for centuries based on circumstantial evidence and prejudice. Hiruzen makes it very clear to everyone in the room. The one that Minato and Kushina chose to raise Naruto is Mikoto Uchiha. It was their final wish and their final command, and it will be respected. Danzo bows his head as he backs away from Hiruzen, looking every bit the part of a chastised and regretful old man. Unnoticed by everyone, however, he keeps his eye on Mikoto, whose eyes have returned to their usual black as she gently shushes the babe in her arms. It was only for a moment, but he's sure that he saw it. Mikoto's eyes were not the Tomoe of a usual Sharingan. Instead, the Sharingan had taken on a spiral appearance with 4 teardrop shapes within. And that, everyone, is where I'm going to leave the story for now. Join me next time as Mikoto and her family begin to adjust to the newest addition to their family. I'm Rune. See you next chapter.